We're in Algonac, Michigan. This is a property of the founder of Scrapyard Media. They have a musty, moldy smell in their basement. Right here, you can see the moss growing. You can tell, look at all the moss. It's damp. To grow moss, this is damp all the time. This never dries out. We gotta wick all the water out of the subsurface. We gotta get the water away from the structure. The structure is being taxed. Behind this vinyl siding is rough lumber. Trust me when I tell you this. Your rough lumber is wicking moisture. You don't hear it, you don't see it until it's too late. Now you notice the brick veneer, it's cracked right here. Look at that. Moisture will do that. Why else would you have a crack like that going through layers and layers and layers of brick veneer? So there's some shifting and some settling of the foundation. Right here, we already have some damage done. You can see the discoloration. This cultured stone's being taxed, and so is the rough lumber behind it. Always do a curtain French drain about 6 feet off the house. I don't care what soil type you have. 6 feet off the house, you'll be able to pull the moisture 6 feet. How do I know this? Because golf courses spend an insane amount of money for research. These golf courses are tens of millions of dollars. So they're gonna spend the big money to make sure that their drainage is correct. Also, Olympic stadiums for sport events. These sporting event Olympic arenas also are tens of millions of dollars. They spent an insane amount of money on research. Contractors and homeowners, you can pull water, even in clay, up to 6.5 feet away. I like the curtain French drain having some distance from a basement wall. You don't want the water from your French drain running down the basement wall. That could easily happen. Now you're gonna end up with some other problems. So pull your French drain, your curtain French drain, to about 6 feet. Leave about 6 feet of soil between your French drain and your home, no matter what the soil is. We have some negative slope right here. You can see from Patrick, where he's standing right there, to the house, we have negative slope. We're not going to go through a regrade. Regrades can cost thousands and thousands of dollars. We got to put French drains in here anyway. No need for a regrade. The homeowner is going to put a couple feet of landscape in here. That's their plan. We're going to have 2 feet of stone, no pipe. Then we're going to start our pipe. It's going to be a 3.5 inch branch line that's going to go to a 3.5 inch main. A 3-inch branch to a 3.5 inch main, guys. Again, where you're going to put landscape, don't even bother with the pipe. Just stone. The water is going to travel through the stone into the perforated pipe. That's it. It don't get any better than this. Simple, easy DIY. Homeowner can do this. What we're doing to this house is about $8,500. DIYer can do that at a fraction of the cost. Everything that you're going to see in this video, we sell in our online store. All of it's been proven and developed by this crew. The guys have a laser level over there. They've been taking elevation readings. Always put your laser level off to the side. They don't have to relocate the laser level. You have a benchmark. You set that benchmark. You can work from that benchmark for the entire property. If you set this up on the back patio, then as soon as you make it around the corner, you're in trouble. You have to come back. You have to measure off where you last dug to get a correct benchmark. There's some risk involved there. You can make some mistakes easy enough. So put it out of the way. Leave yourself egress and egress. This is the right way to set up a laser level. We don't have any fall across the back of this house. We have to create all the fall. It's not going to be at the surface. It's going to be at the trench bottom. We have to be really shallow right here. We only want this to be deep enough to put our pipe in and have a few inches of stone on top of the pipe. That's it. Then every 8 feet you want an inch of drop. That's 1% slope. That's drainage 101. For every 8 feet, 1 inch. That's simple, homeowners. If you don't have a laser level and you got to work with a string level, easy enough. Run a string level and measure off the string level. Every 8 feet you want to drop an inch. So the reason why there's a musty smell in the basement is because we have negative slope behind the house, and because this downspout only had like a 3-foot above ground extension. A lot of homeowners think, oh, I'll just put a splash block underneath my downspout. The water will splash away from the house. It's not far enough. In testing, you have to be 15 plus feet. In testing, you have to get all that bulk water 15 feet away, 15 feet or better. Our downspout kits have 19 feet of pipe and then a catch basin that'll add another foot, putting you 20 feet away from the house. By grabbing up these downspouts and getting this water far away from the structure, and by drying up the back of this house and tightening it up, we're going to get rid of that musty, moldy smell that the homeowner is experiencing inside the basement. This is coming out great. Notice how they started out real shallow here, really shallow. Then they go all the way to the bottom of the trench. That's what you want. Look at all that slope when you do that. They started out super shallow. The bottom of the trench dictates the slope on our system. The surface, we don't care about the surface. We got negative slope. The surface is not right. We don't want to spend tens of thousands of dollars regrading this backyard. We want to come in here and just put a nice drain system in, resolve the problem that way. It's going to be a lot less invasive and a lot cheaper for the homeowner to go this route. The guys went right up to this chimney with this brick veneer. Again, we're just going to have a 3-inch pipe come into a 3.5-inch main French drain. Homeowner's going to be able to put their landscape in here. It's not going to be a problem. Look how shallow that trench is. You can see Valente's in that trench. It's not very deep. It's up to his ankles. That's it. Then it slopes really hard away from the basement wall. That is key. Yeah, you can see there's a clay pan. There's topsoil on top of a clay pan here. That's clay. So yeah, the water was just laying in this topsoil. At one point this was regraded and it was top dressed with topsoil. The moisture is just going to lay on that clay pan. It's not going to go anywhere. We're going to give the water a place to go. 1% slope, 1% slope. Everything's on 1% slope. You can see we're getting a little deep right here. Now what's nice, as we work our way around the corner here, so one would think the trench is going to continue to get deeper. The layman would think that. And they would think, well, by the time I get out to the ditch, this thing's going to be 4 feet deep. How am I going to gravity drain this? We have some natural slope on the side of the house. We're getting deeper, but then see how the grade starts to fall down? It's falling away. So believe it or not, our trench, even with 1% slope, maintaining 1% slope, it's actually going to get shallower as we come around the corner here. All right, so now that the guys have worked their way around the corner, you can see that we have a lot of slope out to the front yard. The trench is actually going to get a little shallower. We're going to maintain the same depth at the bottom of the trench. So from the surface, from the grade to the bottom of the trench, that'll probably be about 14 inches the whole way. The whole way. And we'll cover it with enough dirt. The grass will grow over it just fine. And we'll get it over to that culvert. There's no drainage issue when it comes to the surface water, the bulk water. It flows like a river right down the side of the house on the surface. And it doesn't leave any standing water, so we don't need any catch basins. This is a subsurface water drain. That's what we're doing. We're going to dry up the subsurface. So right now, the guys won't have to bother with the laser level. They don't. We already checked the surface. We have more than 1% slope. The guys will just keep at a consistent depth. As a rule of thumb, our trenches are 12 to 14 inches wide. They're 14 inches to 16 inches deep, as a rule of thumb. All right, so Brad from Scrapyard Media, he's over here talking with Dirk. Dirk's trying to give him a nice clean setup over here. The downspout hits the cultured stone. It kind of bumps the downspout off the house. So Dirk, he's really particular when it comes to the aluminum. He's the guy that's always trying to match colors. He's trying to give everything a custom fit. These are the little details that make all the difference. You can see right here the water is going to end right at the culvert. Look at this defined swale. I mean, the water's just going to rip as we send it down into that gully. This is done professionally. Really nice swale. Goes all the way down to that creek. Beautiful. It's what drainage dreams are made of right there. One of the number one questions that I get, number one, is how far away should you run your downspout? People always ask this question. Well, I want to show you something. These little extensions were on this home, and look what the water did. This was the water. The water did this. Make no mistake about it. This was brought on by the soil being loaded right at the house. There's no slope to speak of. Turf grass, it's so hard for water to find its way out of turf grass. You need at least 3% slope at the surface, and that's rare. We know that. So this is super flat. So we put slope on the bottom of the trench because there's no slope up here. This is a tabletop. This is what we refer to as a tabletop. It's just flat. Not necessarily negative slope, but there's no slope. So we created our slope in the bottom of the trench. Finally, right here it breaks. So when people say, how far do I need to take my roof runoff system? How far do I need to take my underground buried downspout system? It varies as far as it needs to go to find a drop in the grade. Now let me explain. Right here where it discharges the water, this has to be lower than the rest of the line if you want that line to empty completely and you do not want that line to hold water. In the north, where we freeze up, if a line is holding water, the grass is going to keep it insulated during a really hard cold stretch. Just one day of sun is not going to thaw that out like it will your rooftop. While you have snow and ice melting off the roof, if you have a underground buried downspout line that's holding water because it wasn't built to empty completely, it's not going to be ready during the thaw. And this is going to be a problem. What ends up happening is the gutter trough fills with water, it gets extremely heavy, and it pulls away from the house. This is what gives gutters an unsightly look. They get wavy. You can see that they're pulled away from the fascia board that they're nailed and or screwed to. Always have some slope away from the home, and take your line out until you finally break and you can discharge the line at a lower point than the rest of the line. Here, for example, we're probably looking at 30 to 35 feet. Normally, it doesn't take this long of a run to get the drop and the break that we need, but in this case, that's exactly what it took. All right, so now that we're in the front yard, we did relocate the laser level. The guys went ahead and set a new benchmark to match the benchmark that was in the corner in the back of the yard. And we're going to finish the dig with the laser level right here. It'll get us down the side and around the corner. always put a really good drainage fabric down, always. So Mauricio right now is running the drain fabric in our main line. This is so important. This is a really big key right here. If you don't put a soil separator to keep the soil out of the stone, your drain has an expiration date at the time of install. When we put this soil separator in so that we can prevent the soil from migrating into our stone and clogging it, we just took a drain that might only last 2 years to the point to where it's going to last a lifetime. All right, the two most important things to a good French drain that's going to last forever. One, when you dig out the dirt, you have to haul the dirt away. You absolutely have to haul all the dirt away. That's not for debate. When homeowners hire a guy, when contractors come in and they're not equipped to haul the dirt away, they'll put a pipe in the trench, they'll put a little bit of stone over the pipe, and then they'll push all the dirt back in. And I can tell you the guys that are doing that. The guys that are doing that are the guys, they'll have dirt piled on the side of their trench when they're putting in a French drain. You see these guys showing their shorts and their videos on YouTube, you know, Facebook, multimedia, and they're talking about how they haul the dirt away, yet I see dirt put on the side of the trench. Nobody who's done this job more than twice would ever handle that dirt again. You wouldn't put the dirt to the side of the trench just so that you could shovel it and handle it again. That's bad business. So you know they're pushing it in. We know this because all the failed French drains, they have too much dirt pushed in on top of the French drain pipe. You want to haul all the dirt away. When you dig the dirt out, whether it's with a shovel or whether it's with an excavator, you want to just take that dirt to its final resting place. If you're going to put it in the wheelbarrow and put it somewhere in your yard, or if you're hauling it away, you wheel it out front. When we shovel the dirt out, we put it in the mini loader, we take it to a dump trailer, we dump it in that trailer, and we're done. We don't handle that dirt again. We're not trying to wear dirt out. That's going to cost the company a lot of money. You haul all the dirt away. Now this fabric is the second most important thing. I see guys building French drains, they put the pipe in, no fabric. Then they poured a stone over top of it. How come they're not using fabric? Because it costs money. They're taking the homeowner's money. They're charging the same price that we charge, yet they're gypping them. They're not putting in a soil separator. So why is a soil separator so important? When your soil migrates into all the voids of the stone, the French drain no longer can take in any water. The pipe will not be able to take in any water. By putting in a soil separator, this fabric has been double punched. It has a ridiculous amount of needle punched holes. We can show close-ups of this fabric and you can see the small holes that have been punched in this fabric. Little holes punched in it. Look at all them holes. This is a process that we pay to have our fabric put through. It's double punched. All the sediment is going to wash through the fabric. That's just the way it has to be, because sediment would clog fabric. If it didn't wash through the fabric, it would clog it. Now all the soil granulars form on the outside of the fabric. We refer to this as the soil filter zone. It's fantastic. The water is pulled right into the French drain. It gets pulled right through the fabric. We keep the soil from clogging the stone, the voids in the stone. Literally, you take a French drain that would only last 2 years with no fabric, and now you have a French drain that literally has no expiration date. It literally can last forever. The pipes that we're putting in, the virgin pipes that we're putting in, this is virgin material. It's non-recycled. Most pipe that you buy in Home Depot and the big box stores, it's black. It's made of restaurant containers, recycled shampoo bottles, all of that. And they have to put in special additives for that to adhere. What ends up happening, animals love that soft, chewy, recycled material. And we don't know if it's the taste, if it's because it's soft and chewy, but you end up with rodents and animals chewing on it. Plus, it doesn't really have the same lifespan as an all virgin pipe. Now this pipe here, it is literally rated to last 200 to 500 years. None of us are going to live long enough to see this pipe fail. But what I do know is if you use a good quality virgin pipe that doesn't have recycled materials, you basically have a French drain that's going to last you a lifetime. If you're DIYing, it's a really good idea just to stick a shovel handle in the end of a 100-foot roll of pipe. Works out great when you're short-handed. We got a big crew, but everybody's scattered on this job. Patrick's been rolling out the pipe. All right, we're running a double piped French drain. You know, I always run 2 pipes. Never run a single pipe. Why do we not run a single French drain pipe? Because a single French drain pipe is too narrow. There's a certain amount of sediment that you're going to get off the walls of the trench. It's going to settle to the bottom. If you have a wider bottom to your trench to displace the sediment, it doesn't take up all the area of the pipe like a single pipe trench does. So always 2 pipes, 2 pipes. There's a lot of other reasons too, but that's the main reason. 2 pipes hold you to a tolerance where you end up with just an amazing French drain that you never have to worry about. It's literally going to last you a lifetime. So the guys split those 2 pipes here. They use this pipe to go up into this corner. We're going to try to dry this up, get rid of all this mold, mildew. There's a lot of moss. We're going to pull all that moisture out of here. This has a really hard slope. It's shallow right here, and then it just slopes right down to the bottom of this trench. We have a really nice 1% slope this whole length. We're going to do 3-inch off of here. This is super shallow. So a little piece of 3-inch pipe connected to the 3.5. It's ideal. We don't want water to backfeed. Say we had flood-like conditions. There was so much water back here that it just overwhelmed the French drain. You don't want it to backfeed to the basement wall. Now you got bigger problems. So this grade goes uphill. The only water that runs uphill is flood water, but we have a 4-inch discharge to make sure that doesn't happen. Another 3-inch branch line right there. We have a discharge line that's on 4-inch. We got a surprise for you guys. This isn't a solid discharge line. This is going to also take in some water. This is pinhole. You see all the holes? That's pinhole. So pinhole acts as a discharge line because it doesn't have big saw cut inlets. Water's not going to really fall out of it. It's going to take all the water all the way to that culvert pipe, around out to the front. Now, we're told during storms, really hard rain events, the water just runs through here like a river. But when the rain's done, it doesn't pond or pool. So we're not worried about an area where we have to put in a catch basin for surface water because we're getting really good runoff. But after a rain event like that, this is going to be soft in here. It's going to take days for this to really tighten up. Now, this homeowner just brought a newborn baby home from the hospital. Proud dad right there. So he's going to have a toddler now in this yard. So he's got to be mindful to that. This pipe has pinholes in it. So after we move all the bulk water, we can now take in water. We can take in moisture with this pinhole pipe for the next 72 hours. Dry this up tight. So instead of a solid discharge line, use a pinhole pipe in cases like this. All right, so we're ready to rock and roll. We have a clean out on this pipe right here. We have a clean out on that pipe so that we can run a camera through it, do an inspection, do a jetting. Hey, let's get a clean out. Let's get a clean out on that other pipe too. Yeah, you don't have to jump and do it now, but let's leave it open so you can do it. Or do you think it's too shallow? Is it too shallow? Okay, why don't we cut it shorter so that we can get one on. What do you say? And then we'll just put stone up in there, okay? All right, thank you. All right, so nothing fancy. You can see what the guys did. We had to stay shallow here because we don't want water backfeeding to the house. We just got an end cap on some 3-inch. We got a 3 to 3.5 reducer to a 3.5-inch T. All that dirt we hauled away is being replaced with stone. All of it. Stone and pipe. So you can see the guys, they have the clips. They're clipping all these pipes together. All right, so what we did here, we went with the close clips. The close clips bring the pipes tight together. There's going to be an added void between the two pipes, so you're moving more water. You can hold more water in the system. You have more void. Close clips, pipe are tight together. You're going to have that space between the pipe. We're not driving cars over this part, but we are going to drive. The homeowner is going to have gravel trains come through here. So we have to build this so that he could have giant 30-yard semi-leads haul in pea stone for his beach. So we're going to go to a clip right here that's wider. We're going to add some wider clips. Why do we want wider clips over here? We have to get the stone between the pipe over here. So I'm going to take a couple of these off. Going to sacrifice a little capacity, a little void. We're going to show you the difference. Look at the difference right there. You see how that spaces out the pipes? Now we can get stone in between the pipes. We're going to get stone between the pipe. The stone is going to support the pipe. You're going to get stone to go down. If you drive over pipe and it's hollow underneath, depending on how heavy the vehicle is, that could be a problem. All right, so we're putting pipe pins in. We want to hold this in the center of the trench. The only way we can do that is if we use these pipe pins. And if you see like a part, like I see a part right here, you know, it kind of got kinked. It's kind of bothering me. So I want to work a little bit of that out of there. So I'll put that pin in there. It straightens it out. Every time the pipe zigs and zags, it slows down the flow. So you want to keep the pipe as straight as you possibly can. Now what's beautiful about corrugated pipe, it's flexible and it's easy to work with. And it comes in rolls of 100 feet and 250 feet. So think about that. We have one piece of pipe right here, one piece in 4-inch for a discharge. It goes all the way to the culvert out there. 100-foot roll of pipe. What can go wrong? It's one piece. There's no glue joints. There's no fittings holding it together. When you do PVC, not only is PVC terrible because the ground always kind of moves and shifts. If you're in the south and you're saying, I'm going to use PVC because my system don't freeze up like the north, so I don't have to worry about it cracking, I want to educate you on this. When the ground swells up with water, it moves. When you go through drought and the ground shrinks, it moves. And the PVC joints aren't rubber. They're not elastic. They weld solid, so they crack. And tree roots get in them. And all kinds of issues come with that. They separate. They come apart. So I don't care if you're in the south. I don't care if you're in the north. Don't use PVC. PVC is a problem. I've been preaching that for years. This system right here, I can tell the homeowner, this is going to run and work for the rest of your life. When they say, what's the warranty? I'm like, it's a lifetime warranty. Nothing can go wrong. All the connections are barbed fittings. We don't have to use tile tape. We don't need tile tape because it's a permeable system. We're trying to take the water in. If it was a solid line and we wanted to grab the water and take it somewhere for discharge, then we'd use tile tape. Three-inch pipe to 3.5-inch trunk line. Beautiful. We're using our narrow clips and our wide clips. It's all about having the right pieces. Right here where that big dump truck, that big lead, that 30-yard lead is going to drive through here. We want to have stone between the pipe for that. It's going to make it much stronger. These pipe pins, they're keeping this pipe in the center of the trench. This is going to be a discharge line that's also a leach line, that's also a French drain. I know that's a lot to take in. The pinhole acts as a solid pipe when it comes to flowing a heavy stream of bulk water. But it's also going to leach a little bit of water. So during a drought, if we finally break the drought and we get a heavy thunderstorm, this pipe will help charge the groundwater because it has little pinholes. It'll slowly charge the groundwater. It's a really nice pipe. If you don't have pinhole, use knife cut. But those are the only two pipes that work because they don't have material saw cut. No material has been removed, just small little pinholes throughout this entire pipe. It's a very unique pipe. They made that machine in the 70s. They no longer make those. They're pretty much obsolete and they all have been retired. They can't get parts. It's a high maintenance piece of equipment. This pipe has really been replaced by knife cut, but we have some partners in the manufacturing business that resurrected an old machine to make us this custom pinhole pipe once again. Bringing a pipe from the 70s into the year 2025, that's pretty special. We have two 3.5-inch lines that go into a 4-inch Y. You got to be smart about this. Do not use a 3.5-inch Y with a reducer that's 3.5 to 4. You're going to choke it down. So that was a 4-inch Y. And then you have the reducer that goes from 4-inch to 3.5. Keep that in mind, guys. When you bump up a pipe in size, when you're going from a smaller diameter pipe to a bigger diameter pipe, you always go with the bigger diameter Y. It is crucial and it is key. Don't choke your systems down. All right, the guys are just killing it back here. So we did add a clean out, but because we were so shallow, we couldn't have the clean out here. Literally had to cut this much pipe off. We had an end plug in there, and I asked if we could just add a clean out because I really do want to clean out on both of these main pipes. I really do. We can go all the way to the 4-inch discharge line that way in both pipes. I doubt we'll ever need the access. But when you have a real shallow area and it's too shallow for your clean out, just put stone. The water's going to run through the stone. It's going to find its way into the perforated pipe. It's kind of nice that we have stone right here because I'm pretty sure they're going to do some sort of landscape treatment. We're super, super shallow up by the house. Super shallow. Remember that. Super shallow. They can add landscape treatment. It's not going to hurt a thing. That's a thing of beauty in my business. We're going to dry this up. We're going to tighten this right up. We're going to get rid of that musty, moldy smell in the basement. And we're going to save the foundation of this beautiful home. Your home is usually the biggest investment in your portfolio. You want to protect that investment. So right now we don't have nobody standing on that pipe. I want to point that out. Nobody is standing on that pipe. Francisco's got a shovel. He'll put a shovel in between the pins just to make sure that the pipe is on the bottom because we don't want stone to get under the pipe. Now the pipe is so light that the stone will just roll down the side of the trench and it'll find its way under the pipe. Now you're losing your perfect slope, and that's where the line's going to clog. There you go. In between the two pins, just like that. It's that simple. So these pipe pins are key. If you're a DIYer, you have to use these pipe pins. If you're a contractor with a big crew, then you can have 3 guys standing on that pipe. But look at how nice this is. Francisco's the only guy right now working this trench. We got 2 guys closing up this trench. We got another guy finishing up a downspout. We got 2 machine operators. We got guys scattered everywhere right now. But if you got 1 guy in the trench like this, you want to make sure that you're holding this pipe in place. These 6-inch by 8-inch deep pipe pins, you know, have them every few feet. You spent all that time digging out this trench. The last thing you want to do is miss on a little detail like that. Now remember, this is a discharge line. That's all this was. This was a discharge line. This is not solely a French drain. It's not. It was primarily a discharge line. It's to discharge the downspout water, the water from the French drain in the backyard. This is really important that you understand that this is a discharge line. If it was a pure French drain only, it would have 2 pipes in the bottom of the trench. We're going to take advantage of this discharge line by using pinhole and using some drainage fabric, some soil separator with a really good stone so that we can kind of tighten up this little swale. No water stands in this swale. Once the bulk water has moved through this area, it doesn't pond or pool. The surface water just runs off and then it leaves it a little soggy in those low spots. This is going to tighten it up. After a rain, this pinhole can pull moisture from the subsoil up to 72 hours. It's pulling moisture. You got to remember, these drains, they don't take a minute off. If there's moisture in the subsoil, they're working. 365, 7 days a week. So discharge line primarily is going to act as a mild French drain and a mild leach line. When we have drought, it's going to recharge the soil, which is really good for the environment. That's why I love when we do discharge lines like this. Always put sand on top of your drain fabric. If you have clay-backed sod and you put clay-backed sod on top of your French drain, it's not going to take in any surface runoff. I want this drain to also take in surface water. Even though a French drain primarily is for subsurface soil, I still want it to grab up any water that might build up on the surface. So we want to put sand down before we put the sod down, just in case the sod had some clay on it. You see clay-backed sod on clay lots all the time. Now once the roots grow through the fabric on the sod, well, then the water just follows the roots right into the stone. This system works fantastic. But until then, the sand, it's going to create a situation where this system is going to run with high surface permeability. The guys are cutting the fabric because you cannot overlap the fabric. There's little tiny holes in this fabric, and if you overlap it, the holes cannot line up. That's an impossible task. You can't get these random needle punch holes to line up. So you want the fabric to only overlap 3 inches so that you can put the fabric pins in. That's it. So that's why the men are taking so much time to cut this fabric. If you just fold the fabric over and then fold another layer over, you're not taking in surface water in that French drain. You're not. Fabric gets a bad rap. A lot of contractors talk badly about the drain fabric because they had a bad experience. The reason why they had a bad experience is because they didn't know how to install it. So that's what this channel is all about. We're trying to make the DIYer and the young contractor aware of these things so that you have success at the highest level. Right here is a great example. Look at the fabric. We got a layer folded. We got another layer folded. Water is not going to be able to be drained in from the surface. It's not going to happen. All these details matter. All these details matter. The details are everything. I'm here to tell you, your sweat equity, make the most of it. The excavation is the hardest part. Once you remove all that dirt, you have to get it right. We know what failure looks like because 1/3 of our jobs that we put in are to replace a failed system. So we know what failure looks like. All these details, all these measures that we take because we want this drain to work fantastic. We want it to last a lifetime. All right, so blow the dirt off the grass right now. Blow all the dirt clods onto your trench before you put the sod back over the line. You want to save yourself a bunch of hours of work? Learn from the pros. How do they get from A to Z so quick? We did this job in just a matter of hours. These guys, repetition, repetition. Always blow all the dirt clods on the open trench before you put the sod down. You just saved yourself what? Who knows, hour and a half of cleanup? Looks great, looks real good. We have a flow gate right here. That's the last time you're probably going to see that. Figure I would get some coverage of that before the guys completely fill this with stone. No animals can get in that discharge line. First and foremost, this is a discharge line. Yeah, we built it to where it can also tighten up this swale bottom. And that's because we have a custom pipe that was made with a machine that was built in the 1970s that's been decommissioned. Literally the only machine that makes pinhole that could possibly be resurrected to run again through one of our partners that manufacture pipe for our custom runs. Working with our partners, we got this special pipe so that we can have this special discharge line. And it's available to homeowners and contractors throughout the country, throughout the US and Canada. We keep bringing more options, more pipes, more parts. And we're listening to what everybody has to say in the comments. We're listening to what everybody has to say for recommendations. YouTube is a community. And when we all sit and share our experiences together in the comments section as a community, we learn from one another. Man, this is just a beautiful thing, what the guys have right here. Picture perfect, every detail. We go from 2 saw-cut perforated lines to a pinhole discharge line. And we still went ahead, put some stone around it. It's going to be an acting leach line as well as an acting French drain at times. It'll take a while to pull the moisture from the subsurface soil here when it's really saturated, because primarily we want it to discharge water. We don't want to necessarily be losing the water down the side of the house. All right, so this is what we were replacing. We were replacing these extensions. So I'm pretty sure our system's going to show a huge improvement. All right, so the owner and founder of Scrapyard Media, he's going to put in one of our kit 10s here. He's going to put in one of our pro kits there. He's also going to put in a Home Depot kit, and he's going to film all that and talk about his experience. I just wanted to show everybody, this is after the work is done. Look at this. This is amazing. The guys are putting some grass seed down. This will pop next spring. It's going to lay dormant for the winter. No big deal. It's hard to believe that all that work, all that excavation, look at that, all that stone and pipe. It looks like we were never here. The guys take a leaf blower, they stand the grass up. This crew is an amazing talent. They don't miss the details. This video was sponsored by the School of Hard Knocks. This installation was Robert Sherwood approved.
If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. It supports the channel. If you have any questions about yard drainage, leave them in the comments section. I'm your host, Robert Sherwood, and until the next video.